Hello and welcome to A Shot in the Arm podcast. I am your host, Y-isha Raphael, and this is a podcast about innovation and equity in global health. We are here in Munich, Germany for the International AIDS Society Conference 2024, where thousands of people living with, working on, and affected by HIV have convened to share knowledge, best practices, and lessons learned from the HIV response over the past 40 years, including the responses to COVID-19, mpox, and other public health threats. Now, the call to action this conference is hashtag put people first. And with this being the call to action, we have to wonder, what is the current state of the HIV and AIDS response, and what do we need to do to reach the collective goal of ending AIDS by 2030? Today, we are happily and excitedly joined by our guest and my own partner in all things crime and advocacy, Sinentlantla Gogela, who is more than making her mark here at IAS 2024. Sinentlantla, thank you so much for joining me. I'm very happy to have you here. I hope you've been enjoying your time at the conference.
Yes, I have. Thank you so much for having me as well. I have been enjoying myself at the conference, been learning a lot of raising issues, but yeah, I've been learning a lot and I've just been taking in everything. It's been beautiful.
How is it like? How has Germany been for you actually?
It's actually fun. It's actually so fun and it's safe.
Safe, Sana, safe. Yeah.
And I keep on comparing it to South Africa and I'm like, South Africa would never. And I love the fact that it's clean. Yeah, so yeah, I am enjoying myself here.
Okay, like imagine though, as South Africans, we go to other countries and the things we focus on, it's safe, it's clean. We're not focused on other things. We're not focused on the sightseeing and everything. We're just like, yeah, it's safe and it's clean, and that is what matters to us as South Africans.
Yeah, because our country is beautiful, but it just has like the downsides, which is obviously is not safe. It's safety and uncleanliness, to be quite honest.
Exactly, so, yeah. But we're trying to represent. We're trying to represent.
Yeah. It is beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Okay, so we are in full swing here at A Shot in the Arm podcast, as always, keeping the tables shaking. We are the ones that make the table shake here at IAS 2024. And I want to know, what have you been up to? Because as I said, you are making your mark here at IAS. Your name is being whispered in rooms, honey. So what have you been up to at this conference?
Oh, wow. I've been to quite some few sessions and I've had to do some few sessions as well. The first one actually was with Vive, the Positive Action booth, where we had an interview as young people who do such great work in our countries and in our communities. And it was just to highlight the work that we are doing and the impact that we are doing in our communities, on social media, and with young people as a whole. So it's been amazing. I totally enjoyed myself there because I got to meet wonderful young women who are just doing amazing things. Crystal, Doreen. It was such an amazing, because we are young people who are coming from different walks of life, and we are all having the same agenda, which is an HIV-free generation. So it's been amazing. And the second one was with the Global Fund. Yeah, where also they are procuring the ring, 150,000 DP rings, which is amazing. It is amazing, which is, we are definitely working towards an HIV-free generation, because those rings are needed by young women in our communities. So that's one of also the sessions that I attended. And also anti-racism and decolonization in public health. That's another session that I attended, where it was such an amazing a conversation where Y-isha Raphael was, I say Auntie. I can't just say.
No, everybody knows as Auntie V. It's okay, guys. We can address her as Auntie V from now. It's okay. It's
or Auntie what to that's what we call her. Yeah, where it was a highlight on the public health, the kinds of things that people go through in public health, but not only in public health, but in positions of power, because of their skin color. I will have to put it that way. Because of that, they are black. Pressure and unfairness, unjustness as a whole. So I learned a lot in that, and I was actually reminded that we are coming from different parts of Africa, but what we face is not different from each other because we are Black people.
Exactly.
So yeah, people who, you know, it was very sad. So that's some of the things I learned. I was like, wow, okay, because the panelists were people who are coming even from America. So it was quite interesting, the things that they had to say. And one of the most important things was that fund us, give us money to do projects in our communities, and respect us as people who contribute and as experts. You know, it was it was definitely an amazing session. And the fourth one was the Choice Manifesto with Viv as well, where young women who are in the African Accountability Board, they launched the manifesto in September last year, and it's been amazing because you go to each and every room, each and every session, everyone is talking about choice, everyone is talking about the importance of choice in HIV prevention, because that's going to take us towards an HIV-free generation, having access to healthcare services and HIV prevention products. You know, like for an example, the lenacapavir, access to that, the DVR, access to that, making sure that each and every product there is, we get it, so that we work towards an HIV-free generation. So because that's the main thing, put people first, and if you're putting people first, that means that you are working towards an HIV-free generation, no infections, zero infections. So yeah, those are the sessions.
You've been keeping busy. You've been keeping busy, and I love that for you as a young person, as a young South African. It's so lovely. I know that we've been having this conversation every time when I walk into a room, I walk past the booth, I listen into a session, and a young South African woman is speaking, my heart gets warm, because not only is it like, oh, representation, but it's just like, finally, you know, we're in a space where we can speak freely, because we know at home sometimes we are not allowed to speak freely. So it just makes my heart warm to see that we are represented, and I love that you're keeping busy. Keep on keep on doing the things that you're doing. You know that we're in these spaces, we have to show up and show out, and I actually want to do a fun activity with you that I've been doing at the GLP booth.
All right.
Here at the exhibition at IAS, and you've been walking past as I've been doing, you know, these fun little activities with people, and I've been asking delegates and attendees about their COVID-19 experiences. So I just want to take a short little piece of this podcast and do this activity with you, and then we'll hop back into it. But I do genuinely want to know about the experiences that you had during COVID-19. So the first question is, when the COVID-19 pandemic happened in South Africa, who did you turn to for support and information?
Oh my God. That's actually a very tough question, because during COVID times, there was a lot of misinformation. People were scared because this is a disease that, a virus that we don't know, you know, and it was so scary. And the information that we got was in the news, and sometimes it was misinformation from people, but I can't really say that I trusted anyone. I trusted myself, to be quite honest, to make sure that I did not infect others. And when I was infected, I made sure that I don't go around. I stayed home. You know, that's what I did. So I don't want to lie and say I trusted anyone. I trusted myself, and I kept to the rules of what you were supposed to do at that time.
No, that's so valid. That's so like, it's so valid to actually say, like, I didn't feel safe. Like, there was no actual safe space for me as someone, because you contracted COVID, right?
Yes,
and
I
I'm
did.
so sorry for that, because even the stories that I've been hearing, it's been a little bit traumatizing for me, but I accept that this is part of the experiences that people had, and people are still suffering from the effects of COVID-19. But then now I want to go back again to that question and flip it around.
Yeah.
Let's say that something similar to COVID-19 were to happen again in the future. You know, something that impacts a population as a whole, or the world as a whole. Would you still now again have to trust yourself, or do you think that maybe you could have done better for yourself in terms of trusting information, or where you get your information and where you get your support from?
Yeah, I think I would trust information that's getting out. For an example, World Health Organizations, I would trust them to publish the information and stuff like that. I would. And would I be prepared if COVID-19 hit again? I think I would, because now I know what to do.
Yeah.
In comparison to not knowing what I had to do previously. Now I know. So I would be prepared. But if it would be any other disease outside the ones that I know, then obviously I would never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would never know. But I would have to trust information from healthcare workers, from the news, trust it to be legit. Yeah.
I think that's also part of it, though, even if it may be something else, but because we've been through a pandemic, we know that, okay, when we are in disaster, these are the people that we should be looking to help us, to give us the right information. And even if they may or may not have our best interests at heart, but we know, okay, this is where facts come from, this is what the science is. And even just by being in the space, just from our experience with COVID-19, we know that, okay, this is how facts are presented and this is how information is presented. And we know, okay, this is real, this can be trusted, this can't be trusted, this I have to ask questions about. But let's get back to your work.
Okay.
As a young, Black, African woman, beautiful also, by the way. What have your key takeaways been at this conference? I mean, over the past few days, it's been very intense. As much as, yes, we've been having fun, we've been going to sessions, we've been listening in, learning a lot. But I mean, there's been protests happening. I mean, and not just only, active protests. People are silently protesting. I mean, remember the truck that has been going around the conference center with a certain word written on. I won't say because, we don't know exactly what's happening there. But people have been protesting, whether it's silently, whether it's on social media, whether it's in person with their placards. People have been protesting. I want to know, with these calls to action that people are having and so many other forms of activism and advocacy that people are displaying, what lessons and teachings from what you've seen are you personally going to be taking back to your work? Or do you think maybe that there's something that they could actually be learning from us as Africans? Because I have to say, something that I noticed is that these protests that were happening, Africans were not involved, even though there are issues that affect us as well. But African women were not involved. African people were not involved. So I want to know, what are there takeaways, or is there maybe advice that you are willing to give if there are no takeaways?
I'd like to say intersectionalism is important. Community is important, right? So intersectionalism added with community, it can do great works, because regardless of whether I'm affected by it or not, but because we are standing together as a huge number of people, a lot can be done and a lot can be differentiated through those efforts that we come together and do. And that's one of the things, because you see little bits and bits of protests, right? And we Africans, we know we shut it down. We shut it down.
No, we do.
We shut it down. And I think that's one of the things that I said. You cannot be facing the same struggles as everybody else and you isolate yourself to make your struggles more important. It's going to be overlooked because you're going to be the minority. So if you add on to a group of people who are already going through these social issues, then it becomes a huge problem. And when you do protest, it becomes impactful. So that's one of the things I've actually realized, that people are doing things in isolation, in groups. We are in the global village together. Let's do something together. You're not a feminist, but something that's affecting a feminist is also affecting you. Come to me. Let's do something together. I am not HIV positive, but I am affected by HIV because I don't know what might happen in the near future. Maybe my child might get it one day when I have a child. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. Therefore, I need to make sure that I advocate for everything from sexual health and reproductive rights to HIV prevention, to the LGBTQI plus community, everything. For an example, what's happening right now in Uganda. We need to talk about those things. We cannot be silent and act like those things are not going to affect us. If one country can do that, imagine, do you think another country will not follow suit and do it? It's going to do it because the other country got away with it. You see? So we need to come together and we need to be a community. And I think that's one of the things that lacks here. We are not a community. Everybody just wants to do their own thing and it's not going to work. If we want to be impactful, we need to be a group of people who are powerful and by numbers of people coming together.
As I always say, you're not Beyonce. we are here for activism, we are here for advocacy, not for notoriety. So you can't be protesting and people who are also impacted and affected are watching you protest. Let us be a part of it. Let us work together. As you say, it can't be in isolation. And I totally stand with that. No, you spoke facts. You spoke facts. And as we are speaking about activism, I want to actually ask you, and I want to actually get into the South African context, because I think that we are going down a dark road as South African youth. We are going down a dark road, and I don't know if there's space for us to turn back, or maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel, at the end of the dark tunnel. What is the current state of youth activism in South Africa? Because for me, I think that we don't, from what I feel, from what I experience, we don't want to work in isolation, but we are so far apart. We are so far apart. How do we bring it back together? As we say, just as much as we are criticizing, you know, the people who are protesting and doing it isolation and doing it in silos, we are kind of also doing the same thing in South Africa as young people. Because we are so far away from, I think we're also running away from the point of what we're doing. We're forgetting, as I said, we are not Beyonce. The point is advocacy and activism. We are standing up for our peers. We are standing up for our rights. We are fighting for an HIV-free generation, as you say. So, like, what is happening? And how do we fix it as well? Is it fixable? Is it something that is fixable? What do you think we can do as South African youth, you know, to push advocacy, to push activism, especially in these spaces? Because the things that we are seeing, they are
so heartbreaking. I think one of the most important things, as you have mentioned, the power of community. We are young people. We need to learn how to work together. You know, you can't shine bright like a diamond. You can't want to be the only person in the room as a young person. We need to gather each other. You know, we need to gather each other and be in the room and be like, this is us and this is what we are going through. Right? That's what's needed. We need to learn how to work together. The power of community is so important. Working together brings so much impact and so much difference. Good, positive things in our communities. And that is why we need to work together, whether you're in HIV awareness, whether I am in HIV prevention awareness, whether you're in gender-based violence, whether you are in unemployment, sexual health and reproductive rights. These things are all intertwined. Because when we talk about unemployment, we'll have to talk about HIV and how it affects unemployment. We'll have to talk about gender-based violence and how it affects HIV. These issues are all one and they cannot be separated. That's why I said in our start, the importance of intersectionality. We need to be intersectional within our approach, and we need to be honest, and we need to be young people who are competent, who show up. And when they do show up, they do their best.
Yeah. Exactly. No, and I want to actually go back to that thing that you said about community, because that brings me to my next question. I mean, we've been interested in activism and we've been advocates basically all our lives since we were teenagers, right? Very, very small babies watching our elders do this work. But one thing that I noticed is that when they started these things, they created a community. They actually started from community. They probably didn't even know the thing that they are doing is activism. Activism is a word for these days. Advocacy is a word for these days. They probably didn't, but all they knew is that they have to create a community, support each other, right? And now that brings me to my next question. Because our current leaders, the people that we look up to, as much as, yes, they may not want to admit it openly, but they're getting older. They're not going to be here. 10 years is not a long time. They may not be here in the next 15 years, right? So although they have been doing so much work, they've been trying to train us, they've been trying to show us the ropes when it comes to working in this organizational space, especially trying to be a female leader in these organizational spaces. Do you think that we are ready to take over in the next 15 years?
Wow, that's actually a good question. I honestly don't think we are ready. I'm going to be honest. We are not ready as young people because we do not want to put in the work. And when we do put in the work, we do not want to actually do over and above because one of the things about being a leader, it is about showing up and proving yourself and making sure that you are trusted. And then the question goes back to, do all people trust us with the work when they do leave us? Will we be able to actually be competent enough to actually do the work? And that's where mentorship comes in and is important, right? We get mentorshipped. And even when you are mentorshipped, right, it is up to you if you want to grow or not. Because being in a mentorship program does not necessarily mean that you're going to grow.
Exactly,
You could, you could take in the education, right, the knowledge, but are you going to use it? And when you are using it, are you going to be effective? And also it goes back to also character. What kind of a young person are you? Do you want to put in the work? Do you want to learn? Sometimes being in mentorship, internship, it also goes about learning the things that you didn't think you would learn, doing the things that you didn't think you were going to learn, because everything goes hand in hand, because you don't know tomorrow you might need that skill that you thought you'd never needed. So that is why it is important that when you are in mentorship, when you are in internships, you take in all the work and then you do extra. You have to do extra.
Yeah. No, I totally hear you. And guys, let me just say this, I'm not criticizing young people. I'm for young people. I mean,
we are young ourselves.
Exactly. We're young ourselves. Nothing about us without us, right? And I truly believe that young people, we have the grit, we have the power, we have the ability to be in these spaces. But it seems like it's like 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 100, because when we go into these rooms, how many receptions have we been to here at IAS, where there's literally 3 young people in the room and we are all from the same umbrella of organizations? Does it make sense? And you have to ask yourself, okay, if we're saying we're not ready, is it because we ourselves don't want to be ready, we're not willing to put in the work, or is it something that is out of our hands?
Can I also something? I want to say that when you're a young person, you need to put yourself out there. No one's going to put you out there. You need to put yourself out there, and you need to push yourself. This is your future. If you want to be a leader, it doesn't start when you get a position of being a leader. You start being a leader before you are even put in a position of being a leader. You start doing the work before, so that when you are given that opportunity, you know exactly what you do, because you have been practicing and you have a trail of work behind you. If you're not going to put yourself out there, you're never going to learn. And that's what I always say to young people in my community, that there are organizations on the ground. Sometimes you do not even have to be paid. Just volunteer an hour or 2 out of your time. Definitely you will learn something out of it, and you will come out with something out of it. It is important that when you're a young person, you put yourself out there, you make connections, you talk to people, and you are like, hey, I need a job. Hey, are there any internships open? Oh, hey, I can do this for 1 day or 2 days a week. Those things are important. It actually gives you skill. It gives you skill, and it gives you opportunity. And you never know where your opportunities are, especially when you're living in South Africa, in a country where we have a very low, a high unemployment rate. We don't have jobs. So even if you do have a great degree, you might not get a job or be employed in your degree description. So you need to put yourself out there, and you need to be open-minded that, you know what, whatever job I get landed on, I need to make sure that I do my best. I do my utmost best. So put yourself out there, man. Just put yourself out there. Push yourself.
It's hard sometimes, because, I'm thinking, what was going on in the back of my mind is like, you are so right. There's nothing wrong in what you're saying. But I'm also thinking about, in this context of, getting the opportunity to attend conferences. I mean, it may be unfair to use it against the people that I was speaking to, but there was someone that came to me and said, this is my 4th, and not a young person, by the way, this is my 4th IAS conference that I've attended, and all 4 conferences they attended scholarships. And this thing of IAS scholarships, it's painful, because so many people get rejected. So many people that we left at home that are doing work. So it's like, it's disheartening also a little bit. That's why I wanted to ask the question, like, is it out of our hands? Is it something that we're in control of? Because you could be doing the most in your community, Sana. You could be, as you said, going out, giving out pads, collecting pads, doing everything, teaching girls in groups. volunteering for Saturday school and all these different programs, internship, whatever it is you do, you could be giving your best. But it's like sometimes the platform just misses you by one step.
Yes, I understand that. And that is part of life. Rejection is a part of life, to be quite honest. And because you get rejected once or twice or thrice or 4 times, it does not necessarily mean you should stop trying. I don't know how many rejections I've gotten in my entire life. Probably a day I get 5 or 10 emails of saying, we are sorry, we have to, you know.
Yeah, we regret to inform
you.
you.
We regret to inform you. And you're like, I've got good grades. What's going on? Sometimes it's just not your time. And sometimes it's just, I don't know, but you just have to put yourself out there. And I'm not talking from a point of privilege. Trust me. I am putting myself out there and I do get rejection. So this is not coming from someone who's privileged. No, I'm not privileged. I also came here on scholarship and by chance, by luck, and
congratulations.
Exactly, and I celebrate it. But it's part of life. Just because you get rejected, it doesn't mean that you should stop trying.
Yeah.
Remember, this is your future.
Exactly.
No one is going to handle it for you besides yourself.
Okay, and as I said, now I'm looking directly into the camera. Sinentlantla is right, ne? But you guys have to provide more scholarship opportunities, fund young people. Even though we are working hard and it's our responsibility, it is also okay to give us money and give us control over what we do with that money in our communities. Allow us to help ourselves, help our communities. She's right. We must work hard. We must push ourselves. Yes. Rejection is part of life, but give us money.
And
at the end of the day, give us money.
Exactly. And also fund us.
Yes, fund us.
Fund the community engagements that we are doing.
Exactly.
It is hard to work for free as a young person because, I mean, what am I going to do? I don't have money. I do have the ideas. It's just that I do not have the money to fund the ideas.
Exactly.
Fund young people, especially young people who have the trail of work. Who are doing good work in their communities.
Stop giving
fund
opportunities
them.
to celebrities.
Exactly.
And influencers.
Yes. When I give you an idea, make sure that you fund the person who had the idea. You know, the person who had the idea, fund them. Don't go looking for a person who's going to be influential. I am influential because I do the work in my community.
You're already there.
Listen, I've got the idea. The fact that I had the idea, it means that I was in the ground. That's how the idea came about. Therefore, you need to fund me because it's going to work. And I come with you with a proposal that I know it's going to work. Therefore, fund me. Fund my community engagements. Give me money to do the work. And you will see the difference.
Exactly. Stop inviting us for lunch to take our ideas and then go give them to influencers.
Yes.
We see you.
We see you.
We're not mentioning names.
We
see you. It's okay. No, that is lovely. And just as we ended, and you can say it as well, we can join hands and say, as young people, as key populations, as they like to call us, marginalized populations, as a Black woman, as a South African woman from an African country, nothing about us without us. Period.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Sinentlantla, for joining us. I think this was a lovely conversation. I'm sure people are feeling hyped after us talking.
I hope so.
Exactly. I hope so. It was really lovely. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been lovely. This is a reminder that A Shot in the Arm podcast is a project of the Global Listening Project. Please don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. A Shot in the Arm podcast is available on all streaming platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So you have no excuse, actually. YouTube is free. Please subscribe to our channel, give us 5 stars, and leave comments. Whatever questions you have, we will definitely answer them and engage with you. Thank you so much to our producers, Eric Espera from Newsdog Media, to Will, who's behind the camera helping us with all the angles, to Ben Plumley. Thank you so much to those producers. And please watch out for links. Please watch out for more links please watch out for links to more information on Upper Champions and as well IAS 2024. There's so many sessions happening here, so much information. It's actually free to go into the Global Village. Come along and check it out. Check out what people are doing. Learn more about the HIV and AIDS response. If you're in Munich, Germany, it's definitely an opportunity. If you're here, it's free. Come and join us. Have some fun with us. Discuss with us. And as I said, thank you for joining us. Please stay. We have more episodes coming. We have episodes that we've already uploaded from podcasts that we have done here in Germany. Have a great week. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.
Bye.